What's going on? Is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I got a Patreon exclusive video that's coming out that basically breaks down my 8 sources of income, how it's going down to 7 sources of income, hopefully, but then we'll still be generating more revenue, and I had to wait till last month's number came out so that I can give you a more accurate picture and show y'all receipts, because I always like to show my receipts inside of the Patreon. So that video was going to come out this weekend, and then Monday we're gonna do the real estate club thing where I show y'all and I kind of highlight my finished product of the house that I'm building, in addition to my strategies and things like that. So much to learn. Make sure y'all join the Bag Chasers on Patreon. It's so much value to be had. Early in the morning, it's about 7:03 to be exact. As you can see behind me, that's the Capital One Cafe. That is in certain cities. It is here in Detroit also. So I guess they do coffee and stuff like that. But also over there is Zuzu. Zuzu is one of the dopest restaurants. It's like a little hot spot slash night spot restaurant. And then they also got a bar that's inside of that too. And then you got Townhouse over here. Some people like Townhouse, some people don't. It's a plum market over there. And then there's a bunch of other stuff all around here. You got Chase Tower over there, Woodward, Coney Island. They just put that Chipotle over there, Whiskey Parlor. Shake Shack is up there. So it's pretty dope walking into Campus Marshes. What's going on? 7 in the morning, huh? Walking into Campus Marshes. I don't think that many people is usually out at 7 in the morning. That's why I like to do my early morning vlogs, and I see the runners and stuff like that. But we here. So before we get into the studio, kind of wanted to give y'all a crash course on taxes, specifically the Trump tax cuts, how it's going to affect you, Kamala Harris, Trump, and what's to come, right? Because a lot of people are voting based off of emotion. They're not voting based off of logic. It's all about vibes and feel good instead of policy and how it is that you're going to be affected as an individual. Hey, how you doing? So, in a nutshell, this is what it is. And I kind of had this conversation on the Millionaire Morning Show yesterday. So if you guys haven't tuned into the Millionaire Morning Show, join me this morning. We put the medicine inside of the candy. It's a really fun show for about 2 hours, all right? But here you go. So the average person, the average regular everyday person, saves somewhere between $900 and $1,200 a year under the tax cuts. The average person that's above 1%, the 1%ers, save about $61,000 a year. Now, Democrats is gonna use that and say, well, that's because the rich ain't paying their fair share. That's why they save so much. It's basic math. They earn way more, so they pay way more into the system, which means that if there's any savings that goes across the board, then it ultimately is going to hit them the most. So I'll give you an example. If you make $50,000 a year, you're probably somewhere in that area of a person that is saving about $1,000 with the tax cuts that's set to expire in 2025. If you make $2 million, $3 million a year, then you're probably gonna be in the camp that's saving the $30,000 to $50,000 a year with the tax cuts. But it also affects businesses. And that's how you spur growth, right? And so it's 2 different waves and 2 different policies that's trying to be implemented by Kamala Harris versus Trump. Kamala Harris is saying that we want to tax more of the rich and give y'all one-time payments such as $6,000 for your child tax credit when you have a child in the first year, so you can buy diapers and babies and stuff. So incentivizing you to have more kids so they can create a slave culture ultimately, right? And then Trump is saying, listen, and they have no way to be able to pay for this. And the way that they're saying that they're gonna pay for it is to take more resources from you. And so you think that you're not gonna get a tax cut, but in reality, they're gonna let the Trump tax cuts expire. And then on top of that, they're going to tax you more in the realm of saying tax the rich, but they just create more loopholes, and we always gonna pay the least amount based off of how much we put into the economy, which then feeds into what the Trump administration is saying. Now, Trump is saying, listen, not only do we need to have permanent tax cuts all across the board, but we need to lower them even more. Okay, well then people then say, how are we going to manage our federal government, and how are we going to do this? Well, that's the whole idea. It's three things, three main pillars. Number one, we need to take back the money that we giving over into these wars that's not actually serving the American people and getting into these proxy wars. Because ultimately, yeah, the Democrats are pushing, we need freedom and equality and liberty and the ability for people to be able to defend themselves over in Israel and Ukraine. It's all bullshit. Because if that was the case, then we would be more involved with Sudan and the Congo. But they don't give a fuck about the Sudan and the Congo and different places where genocide and 100% mass elimination of the people that's in there, they don't give a fuck about them. You know why? Because for whatever reason, they don't have anything that they want, and they don't have any vested interest in saving the people from themselves, right? So they can have dictators, mass genocide, and all of that, and it's not gonna matter because it doesn't serve our interests, right? And so Trump is saying we need to get out of these proxy wars. We also need to audit every branch of the federal government in order to make sure that we're spending more effectively, because there's so much government waste. That can come back to the American people also. And then he's also saying, which is one of the reasons why the Biden administration and Harris left in the Trump tariffs, they never took the tariffs back. And so it's a myth to think that, costs go up in order to have the tariffs. No, costs go up for foreign companies that are looking to do business with American companies. And so he's incentivizing American companies by not only giving them a tax cut, because what happened was they increased tax rolls when they gave the tax cut, because more money came into the American system, especially foreign money, where American companies was keeping the money overseas and not being taxed. But if they can bring them back at a lower tax rate, then they will be better and they will be safer in the American system, which increases jobs, it increases our economy, it increases spending, it increases more people getting more raises and promotions, and it takes in more money for the federal government. And then on top of that, here's the kicker, right? On top of that, what happens if you have permanent tax cuts? It then forces the government to be more fiscally responsible with how it's using your tax dollars. So the reason why they feel like it's okay to give all of these money to migrants, we need to eliminate that. The reason why they feel like it's okay to be in these proxy wars, we need to eliminate that. The reason why they don't feel like they can stop their spending in places like Chicago is in a budget deficit is because they're not managing their resources effectively. So what's going to happen is it really is a trickle-down effect. Either way, both ways. Either you're going to pay more to be replaced, similarly to how they're doing it with the Kamala Harris Biden administration, or you're going to pay less to have a better lifestyle when it comes to the Trump administration administering these tax cuts, while also increasing revenues with tariffs on foreign products that's coming into the American system. And that's the way that we originally started making money and building up the infrastructure in the first place. Taxes, the way that we being taxed, was never supposed to be permanent, but our government made it permanent because it was an easy way for them to continue to keep money in their pockets and then be reckless with their spending. And then just like a regular single baby mama, they increased their lifestyle based off of the money that they made, instead of being more fiscally responsible with your resources. So in a nutshell, and if you don't get it, rewind the video. In a nutshell, let me summarize this for you. They want to tax you more with the Harris-Biden administration and Kamala Harris's new stuff. They want to frame it like they're giving you something, but they basically attaching you to the federal government. They want to replace you with migrants. They also want to eliminate the Trump tax cuts, which is going to affect your family. They are still going to leave the tariffs in place. And then also on top of that, they're going to continue to recklessly spend. And so you're going to get more of what you've experienced over the last 3.5 years. With Trump and them, what's basically happening, let me move over this way. With Trump, what's basically happening is he wants to charge other companies like Chinese companies. And I'll give you an example. It's a Chinese car manufacturer that's already selling vehicles worldwide, including in Mexico. And they're trying to move it here in the United States of America, called BYD. BYD is going to be selling trucks and cars made in China and Mexico here, and they're going to be putting American companies out of business. He's saying we need to put tariffs on foreign companies that's not adding into our society, that's taking our profits and moving it overseas. And then on top of that, they not building up and adding to our jobs. Whereas if we go do business over there, we got to partner with a company and then be taxed crazy in order to continue to do business over there. Whereas they don't have to do the same thing over here. You see what I'm saying? So we need to become more informed. We need to become more educated, and we need to be making better decisions as to who we vote for instead of how you feel. How you feel don't make no difference as far as how it is that they're going to govern you. You need to be more open-minded to the possibility of what if, and then that is what explores. That's what gives you the incentive to go and explore and do your own research to better understand what's happening with our government and our economy. I don't want more taxes. I don't want us to be more proxy wars. I don't want us to be helping out other foreign companies and then people that are not legally citizens in the United States of America that didn't come in here the right way. I don't want my tax dollars going there. I want it to go back to me, and then I want to be able to make the decision of what I do with my money to then pour it back into the American economy the way that I want to do it. And then the government should be more responsible for how they spend the tax dollars that they already getting. That's my stance. That's my position. I'm curious as to what you think. Again, make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Hanley. Thank you, Teach Hanley. 40% off your first order, 20% off for life. Join me on the Millionaire Morning Show. Make sure you subscribe to this channel. Send it to your family and friends, and we're going to get to that money, all right? I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you later. Peace.